Let's talk about something that most men don't like to admit out loud. What do you actually do when a woman doesn't notice you, doesn't care about you, or worse, acts like you don't even exist? The truth is, every man at some point has been invisible to a woman he wanted. And in today's dating world, it almost feels like women have all the attention they could ever want right at their fingertips. Social media, constant validation, endless options. You might wonder, why would she even look my way? That's exactly why today's topic is so powerful. How to get any woman's attention, even if she's not interested at first. Now, before we get into this, let's be clear. I'm not here to hand you cheesy pickup lines or tricks that only work for 5 minutes. This isn't about acting fake. This is about understanding the psychology of attention and learning how to make yourself stand out in a world where most men are blending into the background. And here's the controversial part. You don't get a woman's attention by chasing her, convincing her, or begging for it. You get it by shifting the entire dynamic. You make her notice you by becoming the man who doesn't need her attention, but still commands it. Think about it. Women are wired to filter out weak signals. If you're just another guy complimenting her, agreeing with everything she says, or staring at her like she's your last chance at happiness, she tunes you out. But if you know how to use presence, confidence, and even subtle indifference, suddenly she starts to pay attention. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how you can flip that switch and make her notice you, even if right now she doesn't care. Welcome to the channel, fellas. If you're ready to stop being invisible and start commanding attention, let's dive in. First, stop chasing, start ignoring. Most men think the fastest way to get a woman's attention is to chase her. They text nonstop, double message when she doesn't reply, compliment her endlessly, and basically make her feel like she's the only option in the world. The problem is, that kind of energy doesn't make her notice you in a positive way. It makes her see you as desperate, predictable, and uninteresting. Women are not blind. They can smell neediness from miles away, and nothing kills attraction faster. Here's the hard truth. Chasing a woman tells her you value her more than yourself. When you're running after her, you're placing her on a pedestal she didn't earn, and you're lowering your own worth in the process. The more you push, the more she pulls away, because deep down she doesn't respect a man who can't hold himself back. Respect always comes before attraction. If she can't respect you, she won't desire you. This is where ignoring comes into play. Not in a childish game-playing way, but in a powerful, self-controlled way. When you stop chasing and start ignoring, what you're really doing is redirecting your energy. Instead of pouring all your focus into her, you start investing that focus into yourself, your goals, your appearance, your presence. You show her without words that you are not desperate for her time, because you value your own life more than you value her approval. And here's where things get controversial. Women may act like they want constant attention, but what they truly crave is the man who can resist giving it too freely. It's scarcity that creates value. If every other guy is in her DMs chasing her and you're the one man who isn't bending over backward for her, guess whose attention she suddenly wants the most? Yours. Not because you begged for it, but because you withheld it. Ignoring works because it flips the script. Instead of you proving your worth to her, she starts wondering why you're not fighting for her like everyone else. That curiosity grows into interest, and that interest often turns into attraction. By not chasing, you force her to chase. Of course, this doesn't mean you never speak to her or act cold and rude. It means you set boundaries. You don't overextend yourself for a woman who isn't giving you the same energy. You don't rearrange your life for someone who won't even respond to a text. You stand firm in your value. That strength of character is what gets noticed. Not the guy begging for a reply, but the man who's already busy living a life worth noticing. So remember this. Stop chasing, start ignoring. Let her feel the absence of your energy. When she realizes she's not the center of your universe, that's when she'll start looking your way. 2. Confidence beats looks. Every time, every man has at some point believed that women only go for the tall, handsome, rich guys with perfect genetics. And while looks might grab quick attention, They are not what holds a woman's attention long term. If it were just about looks, the best looking men would never get cheated on, dumped, or rejected, but we all know that's not the reality. What actually makes women notice and stay intrigued is confidence, not a jawline or a six-pack. Confidence is magnetic because it speaks louder than appearance. It tells a woman you know who you are, you're comfortable in your own skin, and you don't need her validation to feel good about yourself. And here's the part most men don't realize. Women will happily choose the average-looking man who carries himself with unshakable confidence over the model-looking guy who acts insecure. Why? Because women are drawn to how you make them feel, not just how you look standing next to them. Think about it like this. Looks are surface level. Confidence is emotional. A confident man creates a sense of safety and excitement around him. He walks into a room like he belongs there. He speaks like his words carry weight, and he makes decisions without hesitation. That energy is contagious. It makes her feel like she's in the presence of someone rare. Meanwhile, the insecure man, even if he's good looking, gives off nervous energy. He hesitates, overthinks, and second guesses himself. And nothing turns a woman off faster than a man who doubts himself. The beauty of confidence is that it can't be faked for long. You can try acting confident, but if inside you're insecure, it will eventually show. True confidence comes from building yourself, mentally, physically, and emotionally. It's from knowing you have a purpose bigger than impressing women, from putting in the work to improve yourself, and from realizing that her attention is a bonus, not a necessity. Here's a controversial point. Women test men all the time. Not because they're cruel, but because they want to see if your confidence is real or just an act. If you crumble under pressure, if you get defensive when she teases you, or if you lose your cool the second she ignores your text, you've just shown her you're not as confident as you appeared. But if you can laugh it off, stay calm, and hold your ground without chasing, she knows you're the real deal. Confidence beats looks every time because it's timeless. Looks fade, trends change, but the man who believes in himself never loses his edge. Women don't just want a man they can admire physically, they want a man they can trust emotionally, someone whose presence makes them feel both secure and alive. And that has nothing to do with looks, but everything to do with the way you carry yourself. So stop obsessing over what you see in the mirror and start focusing on what you project. Confidence will get you noticed in ways looks never could. 3. Indifference is magnetic power. Most men think that showing a woman how much they care is the fastest way to win her over. They believe constant attention, endless compliments, and proving loyalty before she's even earned it will make her like them. But the reality is, the more you show you're overly invested, the less she values you. Why? Because when something comes too easily, it loses its worth. Indifference, when done correctly, is one of the most powerful forces you can use to capture a woman's attention. Now, let's clear something up right away. Indifference doesn't mean being rude, cold, or disrespectful. It's not about ignoring her existence entirely. What it really means is this: you're not emotionally dependent on her reaction. You don't crumble if she doesn't text back. You don't lose your identity because she's not showing interest today. You remain grounded in your own life, your goals, your purpose. That calm detachment makes you stand out in a world where most men are desperate for female approval. Women are naturally drawn to men who cannot be easily controlled by attention. Think about it. Every day, attractive women are showered with validation. Guys are begging for their number, liking every post, sending DMs, offering the world just for a chance at dinner. To her, all that effort is background noise. But the man who doesn't bite, who doesn't rush to please, who isn't shaken by her silence, that man is different. He's not dancing to her tune, and that's exactly why she starts paying attention to him. Here's the educational part. Indifference works because it creates contrast. Most men operate from scarcity, fearing they'll lose her if they don't prove themselves. But when you show indifference, you're telling her, without words, that you have options, that your happiness doesn't depend on her, and that you know your value. This flips the power dynamic. Instead of you chasing her, she starts chasing your validation. wondering why you're not reacting the way everyone else does. It's realistic to say that no woman respects a man she can walk all over. If you're always available, always agreeable, and always desperate to please, she'll lose interest fast. But if you stand firm, keep living your life, and don't break character the moment she tests you, suddenly she's curious. She starts thinking, why doesn't he care like the others? Why doesn't my beauty move him like it moves everyone else? That curiosity often turns into attraction. So remember this. Indifference is not about shutting women out. It's about showing them that you're not controlled by their presence or absence. You have your own center of gravity. That unshakable energy is magnetic. Women can resist many things, but they struggle to ignore the man who doesn't need them to breathe. 4. Scarcity makes you valuable. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a man named Daniel who's been with his girlfriend for 2 years. In the beginning, everything was exciting. She couldn't wait to see him. She dressed up for their dates. She hung on every word he said. But over time, Daniel made the mistake many men make. He gave her unlimited access to his time, his energy, and his attention. He stopped hanging out with his friends. He abandoned his hobbies, and he made her the center of his entire world. At first, she appreciated it. But slowly, she began to lose interest. Why? Because his attention was no longer scarce. It was endless. And anything that becomes too available eventually loses value. Scarcity is what makes things desirable. Think about it in everyday life. Why are diamonds so valuable? Because they're rare. Why does limited edition merchandise sell out instantly? Because people know they can't get it everywhere. The same principle applies in relationships. When a woman feels she has all of you on demand, there's no thrill, no tension, no mystery left. She knows you'll always be there, and that certainty kills her excitement. Now here's where the shift happens. After Daniel noticed his girlfriend pulling away, instead of begging or chasing, he started reclaiming his time. He reconnected with his friends, spent more evenings at the gym, and focused on his career goals. He didn't announce it or try to make her jealous. He simply started living a life that didn't revolve around her. Slowly, she noticed the change. Suddenly, he wasn't texting her every hour. He wasn't available at her every whim. And just like that, she started wondering what he was doing, who he was with, and why she wasn't the center of his world anymore. This is the power of scarcity. When your time and attention are limited, they become valuable. Women instinctively chase after what feels rare, because rarity signals importance. The less of yourself you give away freely, the more she wants it. But if you flood her with endless attention, you drown her interest. Scarcity doesn't mean playing games or pretending to be busy when you're not. It means genuinely building a life so full and purposeful that you can't always be at her disposal. You don't cancel your plans every time she calls. You don't abandon your priorities to please her. You give her enough to stay connected, but not so much that she takes you for granted. Daniel's girlfriend didn't fall for him again because of fancy words or romantic gestures. She reignited her desire because she felt his presence becoming scarce. And in that scarcity, she rediscovered his value. So remember this, in relationships, just like in life, abundance makes things cheap, but scarcity makes them priceless. The less you give freely, the more she will crave your attention. 5. Mystery triggers her curiosity. One of the biggest mistakes men make when trying to get a woman's attention is oversharing. They think that if they tell her everything about their life, every thought in their head, and every detail of their daily routine, she'll be impressed and more invested. But the opposite happens. When you give away everything too soon, you remove all the mystery. And without mystery, curiosity dies. Think about the men who bombard a woman with constant updates. Good morning, I just woke up. I'm heading to work now. Lunch break, eating a sandwich, watching TV, about to sleep. On the surface, it looks like effort, but in reality, it's boring. There's no tension, no anticipation. She already knows everything, so there's nothing left to wonder about. The same goes for answering every question with full disclosure. If she asks, "What are you doing tonight?" and you immediately say, "Just at home alone, scrolling on my phone," You've given her the full picture, but it's not attractive. Compare that to a simple, I've got a few things I'm working on, or I've got plans to handle. That small layer of vagueness keeps her intrigued. She doesn't know exactly what you're doing, and that unknown makes her curious. Mystery works because it creates space for her imagination. When you don't reveal everything, she fills in the blanks herself, and usually she imagines something more interesting than reality. If you're not constantly updating her, she might start wondering who you're with, what you're doing, and why you're not glued to your phone. That wondering is exactly what builds her attraction, because it makes her chase answers instead of tuning you out. Now, let's talk about the right way to speak. Mystery doesn't mean being evasive or refusing to answer her at all. It means being selective with what you share. Instead of laying out your whole life story on the first date, drop hints. Give her pieces of information that spark questions. For example, if she asks about your weekend, don't ramble about every second. Instead, say something like, "It was interesting. I tried something new. I'll tell you about it later." That statement is short, but it hooks her. She'll want to know what it was, and now she's invested in the next conversation. The wrong approach is telling her everything too quickly. The right approach is leaving room for discovery. The wrong way is texting her all day like a diary. The right way is sending fewer, more meaningful messages that make her curious about what you're up to. Women are naturally drawn to men they can't completely figure out. It's not about being shady or dishonest. It's about pacing the story of who you are. If you reveal yourself slowly, piece by piece, she'll stay engaged and eager for more. Remember this, mystery isn't about hiding. It's about letting her earn access to your world. The more she has to discover, the more invested she becomes in finding out. 6. Challenge her, don't worship her. Here's a harsh reality most men never face. Women don't fall for men who worship the ground they walk on. They fall for men who challenge them. And yet, many guys still believe that if they treat a woman like a queen from day one, agreeing with everything she says, complimenting her endlessly, and giving her special treatment without her earning it, she'll magically decide to be with them. But in reality, that's not how attraction works. Worship doesn't create desire. Challenge does. Think about it. If you give someone a trophy before they've played the game, what motivation do they have to compete? None. That's exactly how women feel when you put them on a pedestal too soon. If she hasn't invested in you, hasn't proven herself, and you're already acting like she's the best thing that's ever happened to you, she won't feel flattered. She'll feel bored. A woman's interest grows when she feels challenged, when she has to work for your attention, when she knows your approval isn't guaranteed. That's what keeps her engaged. Challenge doesn't mean being arrogant or treating her badly. It means holding yourself to a standard and expecting her to rise to it. If she cancels on you, you don't grovel for another chance. You let her see that your time is valuable. If she tries to test your patience with attitude, you don't break into nervous laughter. You calmly hold your ground. These moments show her you're not another man she can control, but someone who demands respect. Engaging with a woman in this way makes you stand out, because most men are terrified of rocking the boat. They think if they disagree, tease her, or say no, they'll lose her. But here's the paradox. It's the exact opposite. A playful tease makes her laugh. A firm no makes her respect you. And disagreeing confidently shows her you're not afraid to be yourself. These small challenges ignite her interest because they prove you're not desperate to please her. You're being authentic. Let's make this practical. Imagine she says something like, "I always get what I want." The worshipping man replies, "Of course you do, you deserve it." The challenging man, on the other hand, smiles and says, "Not this time." That one simple line flips the script. Suddenly, she's intrigued. She's not used to men pushing back. She'll remember that moment because it sparked emotion, it made her feel alive. Women want to feel attraction, not pity. They don't want a servant, they want a man they can look up to, someone who brings out their best by not giving in too easily. Challenge her with your standards, your boundaries, and your confidence, and you'll separate yourself from the crowd. Worship makes you forgettable. Challenge makes you unforgettable. And if you want her attention, being unforgettable is the only game worth playing. 7. Silence speaks louder than words. Most men panic when a woman pulls away or ignores them. They start sending longer texts, double calling, or demanding answers. In their minds, silence feels like the end. Like if they don't speak up, she'll forget them forever. But here's the twist. Silence, when used correctly, is one of the most powerful tools you have. In many cases, silence speaks louder than any words you could ever say. Why? Because silence creates space. And in that space, a woman's mind begins to wander. If you react to her every move with words, explanations, or pleading, she knows exactly where you stand. She has nothing to wonder about. But if you respond with silence, she's left to fill in the blanks. She starts asking herself, why isn't he chasing me? Did I lose his interest? Is he talking to someone else? That mental uncertainty is exactly what makes her pay attention. Let's make this real. Imagine a man named Chris who was always quick to reply. The moment his girlfriend texted, he responded within seconds. If she cancelled plans, he instantly asked to reschedule. If she pulled away, he tried harder to pull her back. Over time, she stopped respecting him because she knew his attention was guaranteed no matter what. One day, Chris decided to change. Instead of reacting, he went silent. He didn't argue when she got distant. He didn't beg when she ignored his calls. He simply carried on with his life. Within a week, she was the one calling, texting, and demanding to know why he had gone quiet. That's the power of silence. But let's be clear. Silence isn't about playing childish games. It's not about punishing her or cutting her off completely. It's about showing restraint and control. Instead of reacting emotionally, you hold your ground. Instead of explaining yourself 100 times, you let your actions do the talking. Silence shows strength. It tells her you're not desperate, you're not shaken, and you won't waste your energy on someone who isn't valuing it. Silence is also a test. If a woman truly respects you, your silence will draw her back. If she doesn't, she'll disappear. And that's a blessing, because it saves you from wasting your time on someone who never valued you in the first place. Either way, silence reveals the truth faster than any words could. Here's the key. Silence must be paired with presence. If you're silent, but sitting at home depressed and waiting on her call, she'll sense the weakness. But if you're silent because you're busy living, improving yourself, and enjoying your life, that's when silence becomes magnetic. She sees that you're not sitting around waiting, and that's what makes her curious and drawn back in. So remember this. Silence isn't emptiness. It's power. It's confidence without noise. And in a world where every man is shouting for her attention, the quiet one often becomes impossible to ignore. At the end of the day, getting a woman's attention, even if she isn't interested at first, comes down to how you carry yourself, not how much you chase her. Chasing, begging, and worship only push her away. But confidence, scarcity, mystery, challenge, and silence pull her in. These principles flip the script and make you the man she can't ignore. Remember, her attention should never be your goal. It should be the byproduct of your value. When you live with strength, purpose, and self-respect, women notice. And once they notice, everything else begins to change.